Hey, I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts. I want to take a moment to correct an error I made, which was very kindly and eloquently pointed out. So, in this video about some shocking results of heavy metal contamination and now organic kelp, I was looking at a couple of different brands and used this example of Maine Coast Sea Vegetables, which is an extremely high quality brand. And what I did later in the video was take their certificate of analysis and put the wrong number in. What did I do? And this is where it's really critical to make sure you know what you're doing with these and following the um, correct numbers from parts per million to parts per billion. So what I did was put in, instead of zero point zero 0.01 of arsenic, I put in zero point 0.1 in the converter. And the other thing that was in error about is that their levels are specifically for inorganic arsenic. Now, why is that important? Well, it turns out that all arsenic is not created equally. Um, so, inorganic arsenic is the one that is indeed toxic to us, and that's what is should be tested. Now, when Now finally did send a letter about the test results that Tamara Rubin did and Lead Free Mama, is that they also pointed this out, that she tested for total arsenic, not inorganic arsenic. And their inorganic arsenic levels are at industry standards. However, they declined to send an actual certificate of analysis. So, I think Now is a good company, but it's a little bit discomforting that they're unwilling to share their certificates of analysis. So, to that end, we are making those available on all of our products. You're going to start seeing those show up on uh, our website with our self-produced products. And what I want you to understand, there's a couple of things I do want you to understand as well. Um, Steve Eddy from Maine Coast Sea Vegetables was kind to point out the adage of dosis solo facto venenum, and only the dose makes the poison, is what that translates. And so that's part of the other thing we're exploring. Okay, we've got these things that we know contain heavy metals, and they're in the ocean, they're in the soil, they're all of that. So it's not a matter of finding products with none of these, it's finding products with the smallest amount possible. And then ultimately, back to that adage of the dose makes the poison. When we look at now kelp and holistic total body support and calcium citrate in the food, when all of those supplements are diluted out to their proper ratios, then what is the total heavy metal content for that meal, right? So, to that end, we will be sending a sample into the lab to find out what happens when we look at all of these things in terms of what the animal actually experiences at it as it eats. Because we're not consuming only supplements, right? And there is that other adage of dilution is the solution to pollution. So, on that note, I want you to keep your eyes tuned to what we're doing and what we're going to show you. And it's going to be really interesting to see how those results turn out. The other thing that is not well defined is what is the toxic limits for dogs and cats. As I mentioned in the other video, AFCO's defined mercury at more than 10 parts per million to be problematic. And then the other heavy metals at 2 parts per million. But is that really safe? We don't know. And what does that boil down to when in terms of food? If you're feeding, fresh food with a lot of fiber, thankfully there's things that will help adsorb or block some of the absorption of the heavy metals. Also, are they in the format that is absorbable, and indeed toxic to your pet? So these are all big questions to answer. And this is the problem with saying, oh my God, now kelp is contaminated with heavy metals at astronomically high numbers without taking all of the parts into consideration. So while it is an issue, and we do live in a toxic world, some of which humans have created, and some of which is innate to the planet, I think what we need to do is step back and take a deeper understanding as to what's the total exposure in an animal's waking life, in our own waking life. And what that means is what's in the water, what's in the food, what's in the air, what's in the soil that you're hopefully putting your feet on. So I hope that makes sense. And again, many, many thanks uh, to the folks at Maine Seacoast Vegetables for, sorry, I said that sideways, Maine Coast Sea Vegetables for pointing out my error and also giving a very cogent and easy to understand um, explanation. Until next time, I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts. Take good care of yourself and your pets, and we'll talk soon.